All right, what's going on, Chiefs Kingdom? Michael Darcy returning from the KC Sports Report with a very long overdue video for today, but better late than never. So let's talk about some of the top priorities facing this Chiefs team going into the offseason, as well as a special tribute to fullback Anthony Sherman. So again, I'd like to apologize for taking another break. I'm not going to lie, I got lazy. I was just lazy, and I watched my competition outwork me, and I'm not proud of that. But guess what? We're back. We're going to load up for this very, very hectic offseason where I think a lot of stuff is going to happen. So before we get into what I believe the top priorities are for the Chiefs this offseason, I want to give my 2 cents on Anthony Sherman retiring. He called a 10-year NFL career quits a couple days ago, and I want to say that I respect the decision. I mean, the fullback position as of right now, you don't get used like they used to use you. And I think that for a guy that really was only on special teams and got limited carries, he made a great career out of it. He really did. And the Shermanator, the sausage, whatever you want to call him, he was a fan favorite here. I mean, this is a guy that, for whatever reason, everybody loved. I loved the Shermanator. And I think that he was a pivotal part of winning that Super Bowl, whether people want to give him credit or not. People always see the flashy guys like the Kelseys and the Hills, but guys like Sherman, who actually did block on that Clyde run in the Super Bowl that gave them, it basically sealed the game. I mean, that play does not happen without Anthony Sherman. So for sure, this dude has a very big legacy in the Chiefs kingdom, and he's a Chiefs legend. So I want to say that I'm going to miss seeing Anthony Sherman around, but I hope you enjoy retirement, big boss, because I really think that you are a legend here in KC. So now let's get into the major part of this video. Let's talk about what the Chiefs need to add in possibly free agency or the top priorities this offseason. So my first priority is you've got to protect Patrick Mahomes. I'm tired of just watching this dude get leveled each week. The Chiefs were able to get to the Super Bowl with basically a makeshift offensive line where Mike Remmers and Nick Allegretti, and you had to move around. You had to move around Wiley. I mean, I think that you've got to get some stability in this offensive line. And the best way to do that is either in the draft, where the offensive line position is very deep, or maybe in free agency. The Chiefs don't have a ton of money to spend this year. In fact, I think that we're $22 million over the cap right now. But I expect them to make some moves to kind of narrow that margin down and maybe even get under the cap so they could bring in somebody. Now, I don't think that they're going to get any big-name free agent offensive linemen. That's not realistic, but I think they could bring in a guy kind of like last year when they brought in Kelechi Osemele. It was almost close to the season starting. They brought him in, and he started opening day, and he was a very good offensive lineman. I think that right now in free agency, there's a ton of guys you could bring in, as well as the draft. So as long as the Chiefs make an attempt to bolster this offensive line, I can't be upset. I think obviously the biggest need right now is the tackles. In my absence, Brett Veach did talk to the media, and he's very optimistic about Fisher and Schwartz coming back by opening day. I don't know if I believe any of that, but I would say that you've got to draft tackles because at the very least, if you draft a tackle, you can put them on the inside. It's much easier to make the transition from tackle to guard than the other way around. You really can't transition from a very good tackle, transition from a very good guard into a great tackle. It's just not likely. And you're going to get LDT back. You're going to get Lucas Niang, a third-round draft pick last year. So the Chiefs are adding some pieces, but I think that we saw it all in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs' offensive line collapsed. And so I wanted to see the Chiefs, and specifically Brett Veach, go out and do something about that. So personally, that's my priority number one. Go out and get offensive linemen. Now, the next priority is somewhat of a shock to a lot of people, but I think that you've got to extend Tyrann Mathieu. I think that he deserves an extension. I think that he wants to stay here. He wants to win. He doesn't care about money. He's already a legend, not only in KC, but around the NFL. This is a guy that we brought in, I believe it was 2019. Yeah, it was 2019 offseason. And his first year here, he showed why we're paying him to be the leader of this defense. I don't care what anybody says. Besides Patrick Mahomes, you could make the case that Tyrann Mathieu is the leader of this Chiefs team. And I want him here. He's playing very high-level football right now. He's not going to command a ton of money. He still is under contract this year. Worst comes to worst, you don't sign him right now and you just wait till next offseason and then you give him the extension, possibly when you have more cap space. But I think the move right now would be to extend him as soon as possible, get that out of the way, and kind of have him locked down for the future. I think that he can play safety at a high level for a couple more years. And I think that as long as you have somebody in the back end of your defense that plays like Tyrann Mathieu's playing, you're going to have a chance to have a good defense every year. And so I would say that Tyrann Mathieu's contract extension should be at the top of Brett Veach's mind. And, the last thing that I kind of wanted to talk about is they've got to be proactive in the draft as well as in free agency. Now, again, I know that they are over the cap. They got $22 million that they've got to find some way to squeeze under that. Now, a lot of people seem to think that we're going to cut Anthony Hitchens, possibly guys like Eric Fisher, or maybe even Mitchell Schwartz. I personally think that we're going to get to restructure somebody's contract, whether that is Hitchens or maybe Frank Clark. I don't think the Chiefs are going to have to cut anybody necessarily, but they've got to do something to get under that cap, as well as in the draft. They've got to hit on somebody in this draft, whether it's a receiver, whether it is a guy in the secondary, cough, cough, hopefully a safety. I want a safety because Dirty Dan Sorensen's a question mark at this point. But the Chiefs have got to be somewhat active in free agency. Now, last year they really weren't. Actually, no, I'm not going to say that. Last year they were able to sign guys like Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and Chris Jones with $177 on the cap. So the Chiefs could definitely find a way to bring somebody in, but I'm not expecting them to get a big name free agent. I don't think that's realistic. I don't think we need a big name free agent. The Chiefs could use somebody on like day 2 or day 3 of free agency that kind of slips through the cracks. And there will be guys that do that. I think that you can get a very good defensive end or possibly even an offensive lineman in day 2 or 3 of free agency after the big ones go off the board. So I would say that as long as the Chiefs make an attempt to spend something in free agency, I get it. It's not going to be a ton, but do something. I think that we all know that the Chiefs are going to draft well. Brett Veach has done a phenomenal job in the past 2 or 3 years of getting the right players for this team. And I think that the same pressure is on him this year. So the Chiefs have got to draft well. We're going to cover that a lot more in depth in the future. But I think that free agency's got to be an area where the Chiefs take a very proactive approach. So Chiefs Kingdom, what do you guys think are the biggest priorities facing this Chiefs team this offseason? Again, I think that if you can find a way to protect Pat, give Tyrann an extension, and be proactive in free agency, the Chiefs are going to have a very good chance to get back to that ultimate goal of winning another Super Bowl. And at the end of the day, that is where we're all trying to get. So hopefully Brett Veach can take a proactive approach this offseason and get the Chiefs back to that ultimate goal. Thank you for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, like and subscribe for more of the best Chiefs content on YouTube. You can also support the channel through the Patreon and follow us on Instagram. The links to those are in the description. You just listened to the KC Sports Report by Michael Darcy.